It's a drive on Dirty Dawson. Jazz Chisholm goes deep.
Hello and welcome to the Pinstripe Post. In studio, we're taking you from the stadium to here in studio. Joel is so kind enough to come here in studio and talk Yankees baseball as always. Today is Monday, April 8th. The Yankees, Joel, win another series. They're off to one of their best starts in franchise history, tying a record at 7-2.
And yet you're miserable because they lost
I'm
yesterday.
not. Honestly,
oh,
I'm
okay.
not. I'm not. I think it was miserable for the fans that had to go out there and brave the weather on Easter Sunday for a long delay. But they obviously got baseball in. Tough game for them to watch and slug through. But we're going to get into all that. But before we get to that, how was your Easter? How are you doing today on this Monday, sir?
Yeah, no, all good. I was running around in this area doing some personal stuff, so I said, hey, we have this beautiful studio. Why don't I pop in and talk to you about the Yankees a little bit?
And it's always a pleasure to have you here. Yeah. And I enjoy our conversations. I saw a lot of great comments on our video on Friday, and I'm carrying it over into Monday. Look, the vibes are still high, in my opinion, on the Yankees right now. There's still a lot of things to like what you've seen so far. 30 walks over a 3-game set is pretty impressive for the Yankees. I think the most I've seen in I don't know when it was, but like for them and what you're seeing right now, I guess give me a bird's eye view. What have you seen from then for the first 9 games to say, you know what, Ryan, this is a really good team right now, the way they've started this season?
Well, nothing changed in spring training. I thought they were a really good team. They've gotten out strong. And I think we should say something about the American League, which has 15 teams and only 3 above 500 as we complete the second weekend of the season. The 3 divisional leaders are above 500. We expect the AL East to be a beast. I wouldn't be surprised if it is, but it's important probably that the Yankees make some hay right now while the rest of it. I mean, the Red Sox have gotten off terrible. I think they're 2-7. Yeah. The Orioles haven't gotten off great. Neither have the Blue Jays. And by the way, the Blue Jays keep taking on injuries. The Yankees have stayed healthy, aside from the guys who they showed up in spring training were injured. So there's a moment when they're using their full team. They've got the A's coming in who probably are a little better than the last few years, but you got to probably win another series early here and just keep, you're trying to build something so when the storm comes of injury, poor performance, etc., you've built some collateral over 500, which they've done a little bit early here. You want to keep piling it on because I do suspect the AL East is better than this and will come for them. So you want to try, if you can, to create some distance while the rest of the division is down.
Look, in recent history, too, the Yankees have always gotten off to good starts.
And
here
then they have that June swoon
and the summer
little bit of July. And, like what you would hope if you're the Yankees that avoids the June swoon is you get Rodon, Cole, Volpe, who maybe fans like a little better watching Jose Caballero play all the time. You get those guys back. Maybe you get a gift from the minor leagues you're not expecting, and you kind of like carry some energy and talent through those months where under Boone, especially the last 3 or 4 years, they've had that. So once more, a reason, if it's going to happen again, to just put some stuff in the bank today.
Well, look, Joel, I think there's some kind of in my opinion, fans, the way they go about it right now is they always try to find the negatives, right? Even though it's a great start for them, 7-2. There's so many positives, in my opinion. And when you really want to think about Ben Rice, Cam Schlittler, what you're getting from those guys, the early returns you got from Duvall, not so much lately. But it feels like, Joel, and maybe this is a more philosophical conversation, it feels like there's still this dread feeling that I'm seeing from Yankees fan discourse of, oh, the 7, 8, 9 hitters are terrible. Ryan McMahon's terrible. Jose Caballero's no good. Jazz Chisholm's error. The bullpen's trash. I got to be honest with you. I think it's a lot of white noise at this point because it's like they're 7-2. They're beating the teams they should beat. They should beat the A's this week. Is there something wrong with fandom right now? Like why they have
I just think there's no such thing as a perfect team. And if you were the fan of any other team, you'd have more complaints because they're all kind of worse than the Yankees right now. And you see how fickle it could all be and how quickly things can change. Think about how Met fans felt on Thursday night and how do they feel today? When they go from 3-4 to 6-4.
Yeah.
Right? Like 3. But I wonder if both teams will look back and say, hey, we went to San Francisco and that really helped our season. Right? The Yankees opened with a sweep in San Francisco. The Mets just won 3 in a row. And, like Vientos pops in the lineup and starts hitting. And Francisco
Alvarez had a
Alvarez
couple home runs,
is hitting, and a second strong start from Senga, and like the guys they were worried about in their bullpen have all kind of pitched well. Like if Weaver and Williams in particular had gotten off bad as kind of Yankee outcasts, that would have been bad. There's not going to be a moment where 26 players are going strong. I think the reality is Ryan McMahon is a bad offensive player who is here to bat ninth and field the hell out of the ball and in big spots get pinch hit for late in the game. You would like to have a situation where you have 26 All-Stars. No team is going to have that. And look, the Caballero thing, how many times do you think over the last, since they got him, and he's been a pretty good player for them and brought energy and stuff, where I say, where everyone is like, I'm like, there's a guy who before arbitration who's this talented has been traded twice already.
Right.
There's something his previous teams had that know him best that said, hey, we're willing to include him in the trade. So I think once you see him play all the time, you're like, oh, I wonder if he's Jose Alvarado. You know, like a guy who could change some energy off the bench. But if you ask him to play 35 minutes, you might get a lot less.
More words come out.
Yeah, and so, you know, we'll see. Volpe's still probably 2-3 weeks away.
Okay.
I think if they don't have an injury, and they haven't so far, it would be a fascinating story about who gets sent to the minors or what do they do. I wonder if that point is Escara, the guy who goes to the minors because he has options,
Got
and
the
Ben
big
Rice.
pinch hit last night
You know,
opportunity.
yes, and I wonder if the big pinch hit opportunity there was a little bit to see it, to know, like, should we be keeping a left-hand hitter on the bench?
Right.
Like, I think one of the things that fans get passionate about, but you have to understand what managers are doing certain things now. This is the early rounds of a fight. They have to find out what they have. Like Jake Bird goes into leverage yesterday, and that's bad.
Yeah.
And he had looked good in those first 3 or 4 outings, and that was the moment to put him in leverage to see had something changed from last year. That was discouraging. You know, you use Escara in a spot to see what it looks like. I just think that you can't, you know, like these early parts, like why doesn't he use a guy third day in a row? Because I think the Yankees think they're going to play in September and October, and they want guys to be there then, and you've got to find out about your 26 men so that you can figure out, do we need to reach to the minors? Do we need to look on the waiver wire? Hey, how quick can the trade deadline come? So there's going to be some stuff early on where you see guys get shots that maybe don't fit the traditional thing, but like if Escara isn't going to be able to come off the bench and hit well for them, his reason for being on the team drops if you can have Volpe as your shortstop and Caballero as your pinch runner, etc., who could do things like it will be a right-on right at bat. And at that point, he's going to decide, who's my best right-on right at bat? Is it Goldschmidt? Is it Grichuk? Is it Rosario? Is it Caballero? And also, how comfortable are you as Ben Rice as a once or twice a week catcher? That would be the one that worries me.
That's what I was going to say.
Because right now, Rice has that glow about him. The comparison I made early in spring training is, do the Yankees have a version of Kyle Schwarber?
Yeah, I remember you saying that. Yeah.
Right? Which was a guy, it's easy to forget, Schwarber came up a catcher. It wasn't what he was good at. He actually got sent to the minor leagues at some point during it, but really figured it out as it went along. He just had unreal feel for the strike zone and great natural power. And I would say Ben Rice's 2 superpowers are his power and his real good feel for the strike zone. And he's had almost both from the beginning, and they've just keep getting better. And like, you're already having him take on a new position, which I think he's played well so far through a week and a half. He's a worker bee, and I know down deep he wants to catch. He thinks he's a really good catcher, but that's the most dangerous spot on the field. And the one thing you want is Ben Rice hitting fourth on your team. And to me,
Why mess with a good thing, Joel? I guess
because
the one good thing
because
that's
then the
really
question
going
becomes like, what do? Do you send Caballero down to the minors? He's got options.
Options.
He's a good bench player because of what the speed
Yeah.
is. Do you just release Randall Grichuk and your backup outfielders to some degree are Caballero and Rosario, which you probably don't really want, with Dominguez looming down there in case
He's
you
hitting
do
well in AAA right
in
now.
case you do want it. The problem is you can't put 28 guys on a roster.
I know.
Like again, the Dominguez thing was a criticism of Grisham. Grisham's been terrific. Like to draw that number of walks in front of Aaron Judge is impressive.
Right.
Like nobody wants to walk the guy in front of Aaron Judge. He's got, Grisham's two superpowers are he's got a great hitting eye and some power. He's hit the ball pretty hard this year. The ball hasn't flown out of the stadium yet, but he's had terrific at-bats. I think he's moving much better in the field. And I will say this, body language-wise, a guy we've had problems with when we've talked in the past, he's playing his butt off this season. Now, maybe he saw some light, like, oh, I was going to go into free agency, and my agent told me, take the qualifying offer because the word is out on you on certain things. And so we'll see if his body holds up to play this way for 6-7 months. But, Grisham's been good, and, again, would be – like the kind of $22 million a big market team would send, and you've got Dominguez as something to fire as the season goes along when the inevitable injury comes, or if he hits like this at AAA. Not everyone has three outfielders who could hit like the Yankees. They'll be able to trade him for that relief pitcher that they're like. Even if their bullpen goes great, Ryan, they're going to trade for a relief pitcher or two.
Yeah, they have to
in July, and it does lead. I know we'll probably get there. Also, is like. I've been saying this since late in spring training and some of our early shows. There's just no way a Rule 5 guy's going to last the season.
And Cade Winquist,
He's just not going to last the
him.
season because they're going to have other alternatives, and you've played 10 games now, and, you haven't fired that yet. Will it come up now? Probably. They'll probably find a way to get him into this A's series. Mm-hmm. But I would just encourage the thought of, do you really think he's going to last 162 games on your roster? I find that hard to believe. Like, they believe in this player. They'd love for him to be somebody they have in their system going forward. But you can't, when you're playing for what they're playing for, I just think at some point you're probably going to have to swallow hard and offer him back to the Cardinals.
Yeah. Joel, what's interesting, too, that you brought up there about the Jose Caballeros and Ryan McMahons of the world, I do want to transition to real or unreal, part of the show.
Yeah.
It's the bottom three hitters that we were just mentioning here with Austin Wells, Caballero, and Ryan McMahon. Combined, they're batting 128, 10 for 78, in a 1 for 11 game yesterday. The 7, 8, 9 hitters, I know it's something that, hey, Ryan, this is really not the big problem that you should be focusing on. I mean, you have Judge, you have Bellinger, you have Stanton, you have Rice. Grisham's done a good job. Jazz we can get into in a little bit. But those three at the bottom of the order have really not done much in terms of impact offensively. We knew that McMahon is going to be the 9-hole hitter. He's supposed to play defense. That's what he's there for. So I'm not expecting much out of him. But Austin Wells, this felt like a big year for him in terms of what he can do offensively to impact the game. And you're seeing the reasons now with Jose Caballero. Maybe Volpe does give him a boost. Is it real or unreal what we've seen so far with the 7, 8, 9 hitters for the Yankees in this lineup?
I think Ryan McMahon is a bad major league hitter.
Okay.
Who's going to strike out a lot. They played with his batting stance a little bit in the offseason, try to close up the distance of his feet. He had the widest stance in the league to see if he could be as athletic in the box as he is at third base. The early returns have not been great. I still suspect when the weather warms up, he'll accident his way into 20 homers because he plays in Yankee Stadium. I also think he knows a ball. I think the thing that's strange about Ryan McMahon, Ryan Sampson, is he actually knows a ball from a strike. He swings and misses at very hittable pitches. So I just think he's not a good hitter. Okay. I've just got to come to peace with, if you keep missing balls in the zone, you're not chasing. You're missing balls in the zone. Then I just think there's some slow bat, slow recognition, something is going on there where it's not kind of ideal. I think Caballero is a backup player, and we'll see what Volpe brings to the lineup when he returns. Wells is the issue for me. I have, as you know, because I made this point about Rice and Wells in the past, and Rice has turned out to be good. And look, McMahon falls into this a little bit also. Is I think when you make good swing decisions, you generally end up being a good offensive player. Trent Grisham makes good swing decisions. He lays off of bad pitches. He swings at what he should. Will the power fully blossom there? I don't know. McMahon makes good swing decisions, and he just doesn't hit balls in the zone.
Yeah.
Rice, even when he was struggling, I kept saying the swing decisions are great, and when he squares the ball, it really goes. And now we've seen the full flowering of what that means. Wells, the earliest versions of Wells were really good swing decisions into well-hit balls when he hit them. That has felt like it's backed up a little bit. And then he hit so great in the WBC, I thought, well, maybe he's ready for the full breakout. Like he's talked about the fact that he didn't separate the defense and the offense well enough as far as like I do think catchers are burdened like never before with information and stuff they have to take care of. And I do think he's a good defensive catcher. The throwing's a little this, especially early in the season. I thought it was much better last season. This early in the season hasn't been very good. But for someone I would have bought stock that the offense will come. I've lost a little faith that the offense will come. I'm not completely off of that ship because I still think there's an offensive player in him. But I thought the offensive player was going to be 260 with 22 to 25 homers and, a pretty good on-base percentage. I'm starting a little bit to lose faith. And again, that will be the thing where you have to make the decision. Does he become a guy you pinch hit for late as we go along here?
Yeah, it's definitely worth noting with Austin Wells, obviously. I would love to see more out of him, and I feel like, Joel, I agree with you in terms of his approach at the plate. Feels like he's down 0-2 a lot in account with him.
It does feel like, and so he's a guy being beaten with fastballs especially in the upper part of the zone. I thought he'd learned to cover it. I have not sold all my stocks and bonds in that player. But I was much higher on it 12 months ago than I am today. And I am also lower. I thought that there was going to be an acceptable offensive player in Ryan McMahon that I thought maybe, you do see, like we see this with, like, say, Luis Robert Jr. a little bit with the Mets. And I hope Yankee fans don't turn this off. I cover both teams a lot. But Luis Robert Jr. was in a very, very bad environment with the White Sox. He's been put in this very good environment where it's, say, you don't have to hit third or fourth. Just hit fifth, sixth, play defense, whatever. And I just wonder if that unburdens him in a much better environment, and he ends up having a good year. I was just like, Ryan McMahon had been in this losing place for his whole career in Colorado. He was being asked to hit third, fourth. And I just kept wondering, what if you told this guy who was really good on defense? And by the way, his defense hasn't been that good this year either. The throwing, his and Caballero's throwing has not been great. Ben Rice has actually helped those guys by saving them some stuff that liberated. Might you get 235 and 25 homers and just a better at bat? And 235 for him might be about a 330 on base percentage because I do think he'll draw walks.
Okay.
I've now come to the belief it's going to be well over 30% strikeouts, and he'll struggle to hit 200 unless this new batting stance takes a while in warmer weather. I think he's a pinch hit late in the game guy.
You even take him out for his defensive profile too?
I'm going to believe he's a good defender who's having some throwing issues early.
Okay.
Until I see a much longer period. But like I think you could live with him at the bottom of the lineup. Again, if Wells hits and Volpe comes back okay, again, it doesn't have to be great. It just has to be damage. Like Wells could be a damage player. There's doubles and homers in his profile. If they're there, it makes the lineup long. Again, I'm losing some faith if it's there.
Yeah, it just feels like how long ago now was that? Back in 2024 now we're talking about when he came up and he had that one stretch at the back half of the year, and you're like, maybe there's something there that the Yankees have in Austin Wells that you hope that can project into.
He was drafted as an offensive player. There
Right.
were a lot of people, I probably think even in the Yankee organization, but certainly outside the Yankee organization, who would say, I think one day he's going to be like a 5-6 hole hitter, but he's not going to be able to catch.
Yeah.
And it's turned out he's able to catch, and the offense has really suffered. Has it suffered because it's so mentally and physically wearying to catch in this day and age?
Call a game, yeah.
I don't know, but I'm not off of this player totally, but I'm a little more off of it than I was 12 months ago.
Yeah, currently Austin Wells, it's very small sample size, but he's got his highest strikeout percentage right now.
Yeah.
His hard hit percentage is not that great. So, it's not been going well for Wells. The Caballero.
Generally bad weather. Let's
yep.
see, like it warm up a little bit. It's still only everyone is going to have a terrible 50 at bats someplace.
Right.
Like Judge is going to have a terrible 50 at bats. Rice is going to have a terrible stand. Everyone will have a terrible 50 at bats at some point, and that's why you want to see more. And it's also, again, I still feel like the Yankees are doing a lot of winning right now, while the manager and management is trying to figure out what they have.
Right. It feels like. Tell me if I'm right. There's an amazing star here, and stars, I should say, with Bellinger, Stanton, Rice, and Judge in that middle of the lineup. Grisham you can include there as well. But it's always been that, what is the supporting cast going to be like to help get them to where they need to be? Can they find...
And I do think, Ryan, I'm sorry, I cut you off there, but it's like, I do think that they probably feel like a Wells, Volpe, McMahon, bottom of the lineup is low batting average, but there's some damage in home runs and doubles there. And so can you and some on-base percentage they thought with Wells and McMahon, where like they'll get on and turn the lineup back over to Grisham Judge.
Right.
Like, so I think you could live with certain things like if McMahon pops 20 and walks 10 to 12% of the time, it's more tolerable. If Wells pops 55 extra base hits and gets on base 33% of the time, it's really, like, again, because now you're talking about like, oh, little damage and turning it back over to the big boys. We'll need to see it, and I am curious what this version of Volpe is when he gets here. I just wonder, is he tightened up by all this or liberated by all of it, or just, quite frankly, not good enough?
Yeah. It could get loud quick, I feel like, with Volpe when he does make his
but
return.
we now see what the other guy looks like
Correct.
playing all the time, which was always, I keep going back. Now that I watch him, I'm just like, I just wonder if he's Jose Alvarado.
It's not a bad comparison, he provides obviously a lot of energy, like you said. The throwing errors are not ideal, and Boone also talked about him at the plate.
He should just throw the ball. When he throws the ball, he throws it better and more accurate than when he loops the ball.
Yeah. Well, speaking of fielding errors, let's talk about Jazz Chisholm. It's a contract year for him. We heard the quote before the season, thinks he could be a 50-50 type player. Take that for what you will. He's not gotten off to a good start at the plate. He did have the double yesterday, which was really nice to see from him in the ninth inning. However, he on Saturday has a boneheaded play where he lackadaisically fields the ball. Otto Lopez, I believe, is running down first base. Doesn't get the ball in time at first base. And that extends the inning. And Bednar ends up throwing 40 pitches on Saturday night.
Maybe you lose yesterday's game
because Bednar's not available.
Right. And
So
how you
there's-
stacked up the guys in front of it.
And there's a cascading effect there, Joel.
And look,
from
I
that
thought
thing.
one of the things that really stood out for the Yankees in this early part of the season was there was a greater kind of, like, I think that they know it. They played the Dodgers. They heard it enough. They were sloppy in the World Series. The early last season, they were station to station. They were making mistakes on the bases. And I do think that as last year went along, when they added Caballero and McMahon, they added some diversity in their lineup, some defense.
Some speed,
they
athleticism,
became a little sharper at everything. And I think that for most part, the first week and a half has been sharp. That is the kind of regressive play that is disturbing. And if McMahon had made it, I don't know that we'd be talking about it. Maybe because his offense has been bad, we'd be talking about it. But I think we feel like this is just part of the profile of Jazz Chisholm. And so we end up talking about a player who can just, you wonder about style over substance. You wonder about his focus at 100% of the time. It's all going to come up in free agency. I suspect he's so talented. I just think he'll talent his way to 30 homers and 30 steals, even in a bad year during his prime. And so will some team out there or another look at that and say, yeah, like I could live with whatever. But as we've seen, Gleyber Torres is a pretty talented baseball player and has had to live with 2 one-year contracts since he left the Yankees because of the absent-minded stuff that he does. And that is in an era when it's tough to hit. Gleyber Torres takes great at-bats. This is a guy who walks more than he strikes out. He can lots of doubles, some homers. He's a tough at-bat against good pitching. And yet look at what he's had to live with for the last 2 years in his prime, too. Yeah. He started as a young player like Jazz did. So the word gets out on people about, like, in this modern game, with as much as we talk about launch angle, etc., we watch, the Brewers are off great again. And you watch teams that are better at detail. Me and somebody were texting yesterday, and I was just like, always remember, really good teams win 2 ways. They're so talented they win, and they win when you lose.
Right.
Like if you're going to lose in front of me, I'll just
give me the opportunity, and I'll take advantage of it.
And Chisholm's a player, he could win you or lose you. And I think the Yankees have kind of gotten mainly out of the business of handing it. Like when you watch the Dodgers play in general, you've got to win the game against the Dodgers. Mm-hmm. You've got to beat them. And I think what we saw for most of this first week and a half for the Yankees is we're going to play well. You've got to play better than us. And when you see a play like that has a cascading effect, because baseball is played every day, and if you force your pitcher to throw more pitches, if you create extra outs, if you give the other team confidence, if you turn over lineups, there is a cascading effect that is not good. And Jazz Chisholm is an incredibly talented player who I just wonder about what the universe in baseball is going to think about that player in his prime, left-hand hitter, speed, power, when totally engaged, defense, what he gets in the marketplace when I watch what's happened to Gleyber Torres in the marketplace.
Yeah, and look, there's not many second basemen that are as talented as Jazz Chisholm in this league.
We just watched Nico Horner get $141 million with a little deferral. I'm curious, as not even a free agent, I would suspect because of Jazz's overall ability, he goes over that, but I don't know. Because I think that the team, I think that the marketplace for him, and we're so way ahead of ourselves. The Yankees have played 9 games, but I ultimately think the marketplace for him will be a smaller universe because of stuff like this.
It's just it was a small minded.
And you wonder about the Yankees' ability to maximize. Like on one hand, you just see that was a great at bat. The double was a great at bat.
It's a great at bat.
Like a took a couple of tough pitches, zipped the ball into the gap. It's a big pressure situation. The talent is never going to be the issue with Jazz.
But it's the mindset, and it's also for him. Do you see the forest through the trees type of moment where I understand it's only game 8 of the season, but like you said, you just cost David Bednar from being able to actually get out of that inning a lot sooner than he could have. Could have been able to pitch last night where they really needed the help in the bullpen. And then I really wish he took more accountability there in terms of instead of, hey, he caught me sleeping there that moment. It's like, don't give him that opportunity to catch you sleeping. Like, You're the Yankees. You're supposed to be like Jazz Chisholm. You're in a contract year. You have a great opportunity, Joel, to prove, like you said, prove to everyone I am one of the best second basemen in all baseball. I can get a monster contract. Don't have those type of moments though, especially in this type of year when everything is on the line for the Yankees this year. It just felt really like a tough moment, and that one little leak through where it's like This didn't feel like last year. This felt like 2024 again a little bit, where Jazz got away with this. But it's early in the season.
But again, like let's also do the a little bit of forgiving. I don't think it's a real forgivable play, but
Right.
long game, cold weather, ninth inning, and let's just say Otto Lopez wasn't really running
Right.
until about like 60 feet when he realized, oh,
Jazz ain't looking.
like
yeah.
I might as well turn it on. So, it could have been it's not real pardonable. But like these last 2 days in particular have been a little off for the Yankees. These have been cold. They've been long. Yesterday there was a long rain delay. This is the reality. You're a pro. You're going to have to deal with crap all season. Bad travel, rain delays, etc. And you got to get through it. That's what makes you a pro, is you got to get through it. But if I were trying to alibi, and I'm not, I would point out it was the ninth inning of the longest 9-inning game.
It was.
Since the pitch clock.
Since the pitch clock. Huh? How about that? A lot of walks in that game, too.
Yes. The Yankee at-bats have been long at-bats. I used the term that they, like when we were together on opening day, I used that they were a little savages in the box.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, where they're kind of like really making the other team
They're
work.
grinding you out.
I think that ultimately will have even a greater impact on the whole lineup. Look, when they see better pitching, we'll see what happens. But I mean, Yuri Perez was pretty good, who they saw on opening day, and the guy Max Meyer has stuff. So, anyway.
No, I completely agree with you, Joel. Let's flip it over to the bullpen real quick. You'd mentioned it before about Jake Bird having his blip yesterday. Duvall's had a little bit of struggles lately. I saw John Heyman's quote in his piece yesterday after the game. He talked to a scout, says the bullpen stinks for the Yankees. You talked to different scouts. What is your assessment here? Is it too early to get a good read on here, or is it just, Ryan, don't worry about this right now? Like, this is a July problem when they really address it at the deadline.
Ryan, I'm going to get close to this being right, and I think it might be right, but if not, I'm close. I went and looked. It was how many relievers over the last 3 years have appeared in at least 50 games in all 3 seasons, in each of the 3 seasons, and have an ERA plus 120 or better, so 20% better. It was 7 guys. Like, not 30, not like 1 per team. That's like 1 to every 4 teams.
Right.
This is the most volatile part of the sport. It's hard to find guys who are good year after year after year. And the Yankee bullpen was the worry going into spring. It was a worry coming out of spring. Guys like Hedrick and Bird had some early good success. We'll see if, yes, you used the term blip. I would be worried more that it's more than a blip.
Okay.
I would, I just think and again, the weather was bad, so I don't know what to make of it. But there were some bad walks by the Yankee pitching also with leads.
Right.
Like let me throw one thing out. I think the Marlins lineup
That's what I was going to ask you. Are they better than we think?
is better than we think.
Okay.
There's a Milwaukee Brewer-esque feel to their lineup. They put the ball in play, they play hard, and a lot of them can steal bases.
That's not a Marlins team I've seen in recent history.
And they're going to
They
force
look
you to throw it over the plate successfully and field the ball cleanly. When the Marlins show up, especially on days where Yuri Perez, Alcantara start, that's not going to be an easy game. Like, their bullpen is real iffy. So that's a place you're going to try to get their starters out and work into that bullpen. But that Marlin lineup, there's a lot of, like, pesky, annoying guys in that lineup, and there's just not a ton of swing and miss. And, I could see the Yankees were trying to miss bats against a lineup that was going to force them to put it in the square. And at some point, like I thought the Fernando Cruz walk to lead off the inning in, what was the 8th?
8th.
Like, to me, man, take your fastball, throw it right down the middle. Throw it right down the middle.
Yeah.
And if it happens, it happens. But just, you can't. And that's with the Yankees with an incredible plus-minus walks all weekend. I think they set their franchise record for most walks in a 3-game series. I just think that there was a couple of these where I'm just like, you're throwing secondary pitches. I know it's your best pitch. Like, these guys are going to just spit on some of this. You've got to got to put it in play. And you could see Fried was getting frustrated because they are putting it in play, and he's deep into counts, etc. And that's Max Fried. So I think their bullpen's going to be an issue. I think the overflow of their rotation might handle some of this.
Okay.
I think some of their young starters at AAA might handle this, and I assume they're going to make a trade or two before the trade deadline in July. Will handle some of this. But, Ryan, if you're watching not just the Yankees, but the sport, aside from the Padres
Mason
and the
Miller,
and the Braves, but the Padres aren't just Mason Miller. They have a lot of good relievers. The Braves have a lot of good relievers. Like most teams, if you start going beyond the second or third guy, you're doing a lot of breath holding. And so, the Yankees are going to have to fix some of this and get back to the point where they were in previous years, where they found gold because they're good at improving pitchers. And we'll see. They should pray it was a blip with Bird. I thought that was a bad showing by a guy they were essentially saying, I think he wanted to stay away from Duvall at all costs yesterday. And yesterday was a day where he was, Ascara's going to get a pinch hit and Jake Bird's going to get a ball in the big spot. And both of them didn't come through. It was not a good at bat. It felt a little bit like a fire alarm drill also, like Ascara wasn't ready to hit right away. And he's rushing to the plate now. And I didn't think that was a great scene. And Bird was given the ball and say, here's your big spot, man. Because I'll tell you something. If Bird handles the eighth, I think he's pitching the ninth. Mm-hmm. I think they were going to let him go the whole way because he had been it wasn't just he had been good in his 4 previous outings. He had stayed away from the walk. He had stayed away from bad counts. He was on the attack. So again, long rain delay, long game, bad weather. Was that why Jake Bird fell apart yesterday? Off of last year, that would really worry me.
Okay. It's a good note. It's a good note from you, and it's a good observation. I hope, again, like I said, I hope it is a blip. We're going to get more data points, obviously, this week against the A's and the Rays. Speaking of Florida, I want to switch over to Joel's notebook. I know you didn't have an immediate story when you thought about it, but does anything come to mind when you think about the Yankees are going back to Trop? The Trop is now back up and running for the Rays after playing at George Steinbrenner Field last year due to the hurricane. Anything about that ballpark that just comes a note for you for Joel's notebook about the Tropicana?
I will say that every time I go there, I was blown away by how dark it is inside. It's just, you get this, when the Rays were good, I always thought one of the reasons they're good is teams come here, you could fall asleep playing in here. And I just wondered if they had that advantage, the roof, people it hits the catwalks, people lose it up there. So it wasn't for places to play. It didn't excite you. And as somebody who is relatively neutral, I don't care. I don't like when a team plays at home and the other team's fans have invaded. So especially Boston and the Yankees, when they play at the Trop, it's like a home game. Yeah. Now the Yankees have some other inherent advantages. Their minor league facility is about 10 miles away. You got to get across that horrible bridge from St. Pete to Tampa. But they've probably built a little bit of a fan base in Tampa as well. There's already a lot of transplanted New Yorkers in the big cities in Florida like Tampa. So me personally, when a team goes on the road, I think, it's nice if you travel some fans so there's a little competing, but to really dominate like the Red Sox and Yankees do in the Trop, that's not, I don't like. I'm curious what it's going to look like. I think Tampa, you were in spring training. Well, you've been in spring training the last 2 years now. Do you know where they're trying to build this stadium? Did you see it?
Isn't it right across from George Steinbrenner Field?
So there? You're going to actually have...
It's the Bucks, and then...
It's going to be the Yankee minor league complex, the Raymond James Stadium,
the Bucks play.
Steinbrenner Field,
right,
and where the Rays are going to play is where that community college is now. There's a ton of, if everything goes through, and I think they're hoping maybe by 2029, So that will be an interesting place on a Sunday afternoon if both the Bucks and the Rays are home. It's already tough to drive on Dale Mabry there, so it will be even more so.
I'm sure it will. Joel Sherman, that's an episode. We appreciate always giving us your insight and your valuable time coming here in studio. Do you think Luis Gil makes his return this week for the Yanks rotation?
I do.
Do we expect that to happen soon?
I do, and I really do think we've got a game of Survivor going on now as far as who is going to stay in the rotation as look, Rodon had a setback. Maybe he's had a little other one here. Let's see what's when he's coming back. They are slow playing to me Cole like crazy. Whatever their I keep getting squirrely answers, and I think the answer ultimately is we think we're going to play big games in September and October, and we don't want to fire too many bullets because historically, if a guy throws 1 inning in a spring game and then 2 innings in a spring game, the next thing he does if the spring training is over is goes someplace and pitches 3 innings. Instead of going back to throwing bullpens.
Didn't they just reeled him back and said, whoa.
I think the weather is cold in the Northeast, and I think that they're very much – he's not pitching before the 14 months is done, which is the middle of May. Better yet, wait to the end of May or the beginning of June because they watched the Ohtani thing last year. Ohtani could have pitched from the beginning. He doesn't get into a start, I think, until about mid-June. And then he's making World Series starts, making postseason starts through the whole postseason, including World Series starts. I think the Yankees have the greatest ambitions. I think they believe the way they get from here to the Canyon of Heroes, if they can get there, is Cole, Schlittler, Fried, Rodon as 4 going round and round in October also at peak. And so they want to try to get peak Cole and as much of Cole as possible. I think ultimately before 60 games or so is played, they should have both guys back. And so we're in a position now where guys like Weathers, Warren, and Hill are going to have to prove who should be the 5th starter if everyone else stays healthy. And again, everyone won't stay healthy.
No.
But if and when everyone's healthy, it's like watching Weathers. Again, no pun intended. Was that about weather that night? His fastball is fast, but it gets hit. He's in bad counts constantly. And so, this is all step up for him. And I'm getting a little Carlos Rodon first year vibe from him, which is the walk is turning into the home run. Which is like suddenly, and then you say, well, he a little bit of bad luck. And I'm like, well, the walk counts too. The blue comes after 2 walks and it scores a run, and so to me, he has stuff that he should be in attack mode constantly and trying to figure out exactly why a guy who's throwing 98, is it just straight? Do they see it? People are on his fastball. Is he tipping it? Whatever's going on, his fastball is, for as hot as it is from a left-hander, does not blow by people the way it should. So I think that we're in a situation. And by the way, I think I said this on one of the shows. If Weathers and Carlos Legrand were the setup guys to Bednar in July, I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if Luis Gil was back there. They're an all-in team.
Yep.
They've got to do the sparring for the first 60, 70 games while trying to maximize winning. They're not going to completely throw. I don't think they were throwing away a game yesterday by putting Jake Bird in. I think that they have to find out who that guy is, who they made a trade, and they thought, oh, we're getting a high-level reliever for a couple of years. They need to find out who that guy is. They need to find out if Duvall is trustworthy or not. I have real doubts about that one too. Because if they're blessed and they get their injured guys back, they got some tough decisions coming up. And we'll see how they play those decisions. But Ryan, they're gonna that bullpen is, remember who it was on March 25th when the season starts? My suspicion is on August 1st it will look a lot different.
Absolutely will. Absolutely will. Joel Sherman, that's an episode. I appreciate you, buddy, for coming in here. As always, we're looking forward to catching you next week, all right?
Thank you.